IVM.
Hi and welcome to Smile India. I'm your host Shifa Maitra, who gets you uplifting news from all over the country thrice a week. To begin with, I have to tell you that women officers getting permanent commission in the Indian Army is great news for the nation. While most people are getting masked up and moving ahead, one section of society that's still afraid is the elderly. Sure, they need to be extremely careful, but should not lose hope. Thomas Abraham is 93 and his wife Mariama is 89. This adorable couple in Kerala contracted the virus. They were scared in hospital and the wife could not stop crying in her room. The husband took a turn for the worse and was shifted to the ICU. Their son pleaded with the doctors to shift his mother to the ICU as well. It would help both of them. The doctors agreed and it worked. They had never been apart for a day in their 73 years together. They soon got better and are now back home. Morning prayers together, followed by coffee on their porch. This couple, the oldest in the country to defeat the virus, are definitely a symbol of hope. Another young lady who refused to give up is Anupriya Lakra from Odisha. She belongs to a tribal family and grew up in the Maoist-infested area of Malkangiri. As a child, she told her father she would work very hard and get the family out of this poverty. The parents smiled indulgently, but Anupriya was serious. She did very well at school and got a scholarship for college. She moved to Bhubaneswar, the closest city. There she got into engineering college, but her heart was set on flying. She told her parents. Her father, a police constable, told her to take admission. The parents took loans from friends and relatives and made sure their daughter studied. She successfully got her license and a job. Today, Anupriya is the first female tribal pilot in the state. This girl is an inspiration to anyone who believes in flying high. Now I have to tell you about this young man who runs a successful business in Bangalore writing letters. He thought of the idea 4 years ago and now, even during the lockdown, his client base is increasing. He understood the need gap given that everything today is via email or messages, whether it's congratulating new parents or offering condolences to an old friend. So he started off with writing letters for a few people he knew. The person would tell the writer his feelings and the letter writer would, in his beautiful writing, pen down the thoughts on handmade paper and the letter would be dispatched. Through word of mouth, he started getting more business. So for a fee, he would propose undying love in the morning for someone and say goodbye in the evening to somebody else. People receiving the letters loved it too. Think about it, rereading a message can never have the same emotion that a letter has. Kudos to this young man who found a business idea in something the world had forgotten. Bharat Prajapati from Gujarat is another enterprising Indian. He has a shop that sells and repairs mobile phones. Business was shut due to the lockdown and he was getting restless. He loves gadgets, so decided to make one. He got some stuff from his shop and then got a friend to give him scrap from his electronics showroom. In his backyard, he kept working. Family and friends were intrigued, but he let nobody in on his secret for months. Like most Indians, what he was desperately missing in the pandemic was street food. He knew that there was no way he or anybody was going to risk going out to have pani puri on the streets for some time. So he created a pani puri ATM. You put in the puris, fillings, chutney and water, and then anyone can, by customizing how they want it, get pani puris from the machine. Isn't it amazing? Bharat's ATM is very popular at home and he's now seeking funding so he can mass produce these machines. The lengths we can go for our chart fix is awesome. For the rest of us, given that the rains are here as well, chai and pakoras will suffice. A few tips to stay fine through the monsoons. Of course, we are eating homemade meals, but try and have them hot. Stick to smaller meals through the day since digestive systems are sluggish in this weather. Increase the amount of cinnamon, turmeric, basil, garlic and ginger in your diet. It's time for me to say bye. See you in the next episode of Smile India. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on IVM Network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, it's at Shifa Maitra on Instagram and Twitter.
I hope you enjoyed that show. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Paytm Money. So, a great week of shows behind us and hope that you've been catching up on as much of it as you can. We had Abhishek Bachchan on Football Shitball. Yeah, let me say that again. Abhishek Bachchan was on Football Shitball. Did I mention Abhishek Bachchan was on Football Shitball? That was a fun episode. You should definitely check that out. Really, really deep conversation about cricket and things like that. We had Vikram Kochar on Cyrus Says, talking about the platforms and stuff like what's going on over there. On the note, Maruk had spoken to Sanjay Jha, which was again a really, really interesting conversation. On Edges and Sledges, the guys are having an interesting conversation about, well, what are favorite formats of cricket and things like that. So it's just really been a really, really awesome week on the network, and please do check things out. And with that, hope to see you next week.
Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli, Don Bradman, and now Cyrus Brocha. Okay, probably not in the right company. I mean, Don Bradman is Australian. But it's called Cyrus Says, a wonderful show about everything. Find the show on the IVM Podcast app, ivmpodcast.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts.